It's another edition of Dallas Cowboys Overtime here on StarTelegram.com. I am Fort Worth Star Telegram sports columnist Mac Engel, and I'm joined by my gloating friend, who now apparently goes to a basketball school because that's pathetic, Mr. Clarence E. Hill Jr. Clarence,
I don't think that's my name. I don't think that's my name.
Go ahead, and you're gonna. I will give you the floor. Go ahead.
Clarence, Texas owns KU Hill in basketball.
In basketball,
last 3 games against KU, so you can have your little football victory. We own you in basketball.
That's true, and it means so much that the guy who won 2 of those games in this 3-game winning streak, you pushed out the door so he could go to Marquette and you could bring in Chris Beard. But go ahead, you have your fun. Who won the football game last year in Austin? I can't remember.
I don't know. That was so long ago. I mean, it's about recency, okay?
It is about recency.
You're dealing in past. We're talking about present. We're talking about last
right.
night. We're talking about storming the court in Austin.
Yeah, that was a good scene last night as Texas did defeat my Kansas Jayhawks in men's basketball. But we're not here to talk about Texas basketball. We're not here to talk about Kansas football. We can do that later. We're here to focus on the Dallas Cowboys, who can't help but make news even when they are not playing. We are in the final week of the NFL football calendar. Super Bowl Sunday, Cincinnati Bengals versus the LA Rams. But this week, the Cowboys made news because their entire coaching staff will be coming back. The Miami Dolphins announced that it hired the biracial Mike McDaniel. I had to throw that in. Mike McDaniel, the offensive coordinator with the San Francisco 49ers, is now the new head coach of the Miami Dolphins, which means Kellen Moore, who is a candidate and a finalist for that job, will be coming back to the Dallas Cowboys for a 3rd season as the offensive coordinator. Clarence, the Cowboys went 12-5 last season. I think we keep forgetting that. Kellen Moore was a positive part of that until he wasn't, and then he became the scapegoat. Do you think it's a good thing that the guts and the main components of this coaching staff are intact for 2022?
I do think it's a good thing. I mean, it's funny because just listening to Cowboy fans, they're like, let Kellen go, let Kellen go. Hopefully Miami will take him. And then Mike McCarthy didn't call plays. I don't remember anybody clamoring for Mike McCarthy calling plays before, but it's an interesting turn of events. The Cowboys were the number 1 offense in the league in terms of points, number 1 offense in the league in terms of yardage, but yet they did have issues late in the season when teams started defending them differently. They struggled. That offense was a problem. Kellen Moore's play calling was a problem. But I think continuity, consistency is a good thing, okay? And this is Kellen Moore's 3rd full season. He's only going to get better. I don't know why anybody thought he was ready to be a head coach, but I mean, because he did have some flaws, and certainly late in the season, he had some things he has to address, but it's only going to get better. Understand this. Now, this will be the first time since 2018 that the Cowboys offensive coordinator, defense coordinator, head coach, special team coach will return intact.
Well,
the first time you have consistency, with your coaching staff leadership. The first time since Mike McCarthy's there that Dak Prescott will have a full offseason with the head coach and offense coordinator. The first year he was holding out in a contract dispute. Last year, certainly he was recovering from his fractured ankle. This year they will be on page from the beginning, the whole season, for the first time in all season. That can only help. One thing that Mike McCarthy brought up in the season-ending press conference was the way to break through in the playoffs is to consistently get there. So you won't be nervous.
Yep.
Okay. The way you consistently get there is to have some consistency within your organization, some continuity within your organization. So this should be good news if they can. This is the Cowboys team that hasn't had back-to-back 10-win seasons since 1995-96. It's a Cowboys team that has not had back-to-back playoff seasons since 2006-2007. So they need to find some type of consistency.
Kellen Moore was the pet of Scott Linehan. Long time, he was an NFL head coach for a little while with the Rams, coincidentally. And then he was a longtime coordinator brought here by Jason Garrett. And then Scott Linehan brought Kellen Moore here as a player in the final year of his career. and then he groomed him as a quarterback's coach. You know, there's a lot of similarities between Kellen Moore. You ordered a pizza, Clarence?
Yeah.
You ordered a drink? Okay. But there are a lot of similarities, a lot of undeniable similarities between Kellen Moore and Scott Linehan. You know, there are certain coaches who are better suited to work on certain staffs. What makes you think that Kellen Moore, who was widely, highly regarded as a potential coach in his final year of his playing career, why do you think Kellen Moore is ideally suited to develop and become an NFL head coach under Mike McCarthy? Or should he be somebody else? Would he be better served to work under somebody else?
Yeah. It's funny to me how some certain people get labeled as he's a future head coach. He is destined to be a head coach. He's head coaching material. That label has been placed on Kellen Moore even before he became a head coach.
He was a player, and we were saying he's going to be a head coach.
It was like the Jason Garrett thing, and so the idea that he's ideally suited to develop under Mike McCarthy, I think he'd already been on that trajectory. I mean, people had already put that label on him well before Mike McCarthy showed up. It's one reason why Jason Garrett made him offensive coordinator the second year as a coach, period. I mean, the guy was a quarterback's coach for 1 year, and then he became the offensive coordinator. I mean, that label was already put on him. Obviously he grew up, a quarterback, a son of a coach and all the other stuff. But some people, had to have this magic carpet ride to a head coaching position. And certainly Jason's on that trajectory. I don't know that, it's necessarily about him being developed under Mike McCarthy. He's the offensive coordinator. Okay. If the offense does good, you're going to get head coaching opportunities, just like this year. He was the offensive coordinator. You got head coaching opportunity. Last year, he had an opportunity to go coach at his alma mater. He turned that down because he figured he'd have NFL head coaching opportunities, even after last season when, the offense, was, struggled without Dak Prescott. So he's in the system. He's in the rotation. He's going to continually be groomed or looked at as a potential head coach, especially the offense continues to do what they do, especially with Dak Prescott. They continue to have success. He's destined to be a head coach. It had nothing to do with Mike McCarthy. It's just a matter of where.
It's interesting. I don't want to get sidetracked on this subject because you and I could talk about this topic for a long time, but you just hit the nail on the head. If you're an offensive coach and you've got an offensive, and your offense is thriving, you're going to get a head coaching job. Unless your name's Eric Bieniemy.
Thank you.
And then all of a sudden you're just an idiot and you can only get an interview. That's all you can get. And it just the ridiculousness of it, it never ceases to amaze me. And quite frankly, it's pathetic right now. But again, that's a different topic. Let's go on to something else that's going to continue this week in the NFL. And that is Hall of Fame voting. Announcements will be made on Saturday, the night before the Super Bowl. There is a Dallas Cowboy up for an induction, a guy you know well, a guy I know okay, but we're both big fans of, and he is former Dallas Cowboys linebacker DeMarcus Ware. He is up for Hall of Fame induction. Clarence, this is his first time on the ballot. You and I both know these things are kind of tricky. We never know which way the wind's going to blow with Hall of Fame voters. It's kind of a weird system. You can sit there and say it's flawed or whatever. I'll go over the candidates here in a second. Do you think DeMarcus Ware gets in on his first ballot? He's going to get in. It's just a question of, does he get on his first ballot?
I mean, I think he should. I mean, I think he's a shoo-in. There's no question. When you look at DeMarcus Ware, what he's done, what he did in Dallas, winning a Super Bowl in Denver, and I don't know if you listened to, the linebacker from,
You're getting older. I know it's happening to me. That's why I write everything down. I can't remember my name.
The linebacker for the Broncos, they went to the Rams.
Von Miller.
He talked this week about how much DeMarcus Ware helped him. How he sees himself as the DeMarcus Ware of the Los Angeles Rams. And in everything when he talks to young people, he speaks what DeMarcus spoke to him and how important DeMarcus Ware was to him and his career, and really coming and helping them win a Super Bowl title. But what DeMarcus Ware did in Dallas, it was already Hall of Fame worthy. But you add in, what he did in helping the Broncos win a Super Bowl, there's no question he's going to be a Hall of Fame. And, it's funny because, and certainly we'll be having DeMarcus Ware stories, until he officially gets inducted in August, because I do believe he'll be a shoo-in this week. But Bill Parcells did not want DeMarcus Ware.
No, he did not.
Marcus Spears.
Oh, he wanted Marcus Spears. That's right.
He
He
wanted
pouted.
Marcus.
He pouted during that draft. In that draft room, he was upset when the Cowboys selected DeMarcus Ware. I think at 11, and Marcus Spears at
they got him at 18 or 19.
18. Yeah.
But it also speaks to it as another tangent that Jerry Jones decides what's going on. Even with Bill Parcells, Jerry Jones is the ultimate decision maker. Not that even a coach like Bill Parcells can pick the guy he wants in the order he wants. But and if Jerry Jones was proven right, DeMarcus Ware became a Hall of Famer. He was the right choice, the right pick for the Cowboys at that moment. And clearly the rest is history.
And it's funny when you go back, and we always have fun with NFL draft classes. You can go back and rank them according to the careers that they had. And I think anybody who would look at the draft class this season, you can make a real case that Micah Parsons should have been the first overall pick, even ahead of Trevor Lawrence and some of the other great players. Jamar Chase is certainly up there. But if you go back to DeMarcus Ware's rookie class and redo that draft order, you can make a case, a really solid case. He should have gone number one overall. And remember, coming out of that class, the guy that Bill really liked was Sean Lights Out Merriman.
Right.
But there were concerns about Sean and steroid use, which he eventually got popped for. But it is fascinating to go back and look at DeMarcus's career and see how that changed from kind of this sort of skinny linebacker, edge type rusher
from Troy, from a small school, not a Division, not a Power 5.
Right.
Troy.
And just to see what he developed. I'm with you. I think he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, but you never know. I get kind of fatigued from the discussion of first ballot, second ballot. Like it was part of the Terrell Owens discussion. He's in. Who cares? First ballot, second. It doesn't say on the plaque, third try, eighth try, seventh try, better. It says you're in.
Right.
Terrell Owens is a Hall of Famer. It just takes time sometimes. And I think DeMarcus Ware will get in this time. But I do want to go over the list, and I'm kind of curious your thoughts, because between 4 and 8 candidates will get in. They don't have to go by a certain number. It's usually around 6, sometimes more, sometimes less. We're looking at Jared Allen, Willie Anderson, former offensive tackle with the Bengals, Rondé Barber, Tony Baselli, Leroy Butler, great safety with the Packers, Zach Thomas, the former Texas Tech star who had a nice career with the Dolphins and finished with the Cowboys, Patrick Willis, the linebacker from the 49ers, Devin Hester, the dynamic kick returner and sometimes receiver in other positions for the Chicago Bears, Torrey Holt, part of the greatest show on turf with the Rams, Sam Mills, phenomenal linebacker with the New Orleans Saints, Andre Johnson, whom in my mind is a definite lock, but receivers kind of go in order. He had a great career with the Houston Texans. Richard Seymour, dynamic defensive player, defensive lineman with the New England Patriots during that dynasty. Reggie Wayne, who had a great career with Peyton Manning and the Colts. And, of course, rounding out is San Francisco 49ers tackle Bryant Young. Jared Allen was a defensive lineman who played several seasons with the Vikings. Willie Anderson with the Bengals. Rondé Barber, the great defensive back with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Clarence, as I go over those lists, is there anybody that jumps off the page and says slam dunk, slam dunk, slam dunk? Not so sure, not so sure, not so sure, not so sure.
I would say Andre Johnson should get in.
Yeah.
He and Ware. I like Willie Anderson.
So do I. Yeah, I'm biased. I'm talking to Shereen Williams, our former colleague. She now works at ProFootballTalk.com, and she's a Hall of Fame voter. She seems to think it's either going to be one of the two tackles will go in this time, Willie Anderson or Tony Baselli. I'm biased. I'm pulling for Willie Anderson.
Yeah, and then once you put
What about Devin Hester? What about Devin Hester?
Yeah,
changed a lot of games.
Kick returner should go in at some point. But what about Reggie Wayne and Torrey Holt? What do you Isaac Bruce got in last year. The two of the Rams, the great show and Turk gonna get both of their receivers in.
I don't know.
Is Reggie Wayne gonna get in? After the Peyton Manning coach already have a receiver in. The numbers are worthy.
That's just it. I mean, so many of these guys, because the game has changed so much now. You're seeing a lot of receivers just have these cartoonish video game numbers now,
right.
And it's no fault of their own. They're great players, but I look at Richard Seymour was a great player on some really good New England teams. I don't know if he's going to get in. Leroy Butler was a phenomenal player for some of those great Packer teams with Brett Favre. Zach Thomas, I don't see it happening. Patrick Willis, Bryant Young. I mean, Bryant Young was a pretty good player. That's just it. I think most of these guys, you can make a really solid case that they get. It's one of the fun things about this debate. But the one that I'm biased, like kind of like you are for DeMarcus Ware. We both know him. We like him. He's a great guy. We'd like to see him get in. I really want
some of those guys should be in the Hall of Very Good. I think Zach Thomas is in the Hall of Very Good. And one thing I want to go on just before we leave DeMarcus Ware, because DeMarcus Ware in Dallas was part of an era of the Tony Romo, Jason Witten era Cowboys who never won. And he had got a chance to go somewhere else and win and get that stigma off of him, because everybody talking about, we point to Jerry Jones, but those Cowboys, they were big time stars, but they never won in Dallas. And he was able to go somewhere else and get a title. And certainly I think all three of them should be in the Ring of Honor. I think that they will all go in at some point. Maybe they all go in together because they were really part of a triumvirate, during that time, from the Parcells era who brought those and made the Cowboys winners again. Not winners, relevant again.
Relevant.
They never won it again, but they were the reason why the Cowboys were relevant again.
No, I agree with you. Let's go on to one more topic, and because I think we have to ask, I think every Cowboys fan right now has asked us for the last 25 years, and we kind of hinted at it before, but I know you've kind of been self-deprecating about, you've covered the Cowboys for a long time and playoff battle tested, and they just haven't gotten back. And as we look at other NFL teams move ahead and then fall behind and move ahead and fall behind, certainly the Bengals now, I think anybody who's followed the Dallas Cowboys looks at the Bengals and say, wait a minute, they got ahead of us because the Bengals don't spend a dime. Clarence, as you look at this team right now, and you could ask yourself, all right, when are they going to be back? Like when they're good. They've been pretty good for a long time. This is not the Detroit Lions we're talking about. This is not the Jacksonville Jaguars or some of the Washington football team or the Commanders or whatever they're called, Cleveland Browns. The Cowboys have been pretty good. They have been. And they've had some pretty good teams that had a shot. We thought this was one of them. They blew it. So when you look at this, when can you say, okay, I think this is a Super Bowl team by the year X?
Yeah. I've been saying that since 1996.
Jerry's been saying.
I got here right after the 3 Super Bowl titles. So why would we think it was going to be over then? They won titles
because of Jerry.
95. I got here and thinking that this is Troy, Emmett, and Michael. They're still in their prime. They're gonna the run is going to continue. Well, it hasn't, and it hasn't, and it hasn't. The thing about it is we talk about when are they going to be next? When does the Cowboys turn? There was a time in the Cowboys' history when they were next year's champions.
Oh,
they always lost to Green Bay. They were right at the doorstep. This team is not the doorstep.
Oh, I don't know. Hang on.
This is not next year's champion.
No, it's not next year's champion. But in this era of the NFL, I don't know if you can really say that. You can say that about 7 teams.
No, I agree. I think that the good news for the Cowboys, you look at these 2 championship participants this year, they've never won it.
Yeah,
so they've to a certain extent have come out of nowhere to win. The Bengals won 4 games last year. That's what gives the Cowboys hope, is that you can go in this era, from the outhouse to the penthouse to a certain extent, and just with a good graft, with a good offseason, with good luck, and that's part of it. You have to have good players, but you also have to have good luck, and you have to certainly be able to take advantage of those opportunities. So it can happen next year. I'm not betting on it.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
But you weren't betting on the Bengals before the season either.
Oh, hell no.
And the Rams bet on themselves because they pushed all the chips in the middle of the table and gambled draft picks and money to
trade Matt Stafford.
If they don't win, they're going to be in salary cap hell. They're going to be in draft pick hell because it's going to be hard to build from here.
Yeah, and you know what? This brings the segue to our last topic, and because I'm with you about that. In terms of when will the Cowboys be back? They're good enough that if they can get in, they could get hot and go on a roll. And so much is about matchups and getting lucky breaks and things like that. San Francisco really wasn't that good, but they well coached, played good defense, and they just barely beat you, and they just barely lost to the Rams. They were just barely lost to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Yeah, there you go, the blown interception. But let's go on to the Super Bowl real quick. And I have this very serious question to ask you because I did mention this last week here on Cowboys Overtime. I am at birth. I was born as a Cincinnati Bengals fan. And there's a lot of benefits to my parents still being alive. I don't take that for granted. They're in their 80s. And Clarence, you can relate to this, I'm sure, before you lost your mother, sadly. They probably were from that era who did not throw away anything.
Of course, no.
Okay, so my mom throws away nothing. I was born a Bengals fan. When the Bengals were in the last time and they were in the Super Bowl in 1988, I was a freshman in high school, and I was a big fan. I was a big fan. When they lost, I was devastated. So my mom this week sends me this. Can you see that?
Yes.
This is the hat, not the button. I don't know where she found the button, probably in the bottom of a drawer. But this is the hat I wore the night the Bengals lost to the 49ers in that Super Bowl game, as well as that number 7 Boomer Esiason jersey that I'm not wearing today. But here's my concern. When they play on Sunday against the Rams, I'm going to want to wear it again. But they lost with me wearing it. Do I run the risk of wearing the same outfit when the last time I wore this during a Super Bowl? Or do I just say, no, Lux, that's not real. Wear it anyways. Have fun. If they're going to win, they're going to win. Or they're not, they're going to not. From your fandom when you were a kid, do you believe in such luck items?
Oh, I do believe in sports superstitions and wearing the same jersey or whatever else, or not watching the game. Every time I watch, they lose.
Right.
I'm not watching it.
Right.
Quit watching. I'm not watching. But that's just 30. I mean, it's 33 years. I mean, first of all, does the hat fit your big head now? Okay.
Yeah, you know what? Believe it or not,
that hat looks like it's in pretty good condition after all these years. Your mom
well, it's funny. I got it in the mail yesterday, and it was all flat and stuff. And I put it on. I'm like, oh my god, it still fits. And I mean, it's one of these adjustable deals, so that my fat head kind of,
But you don't wear hats. I mean, you don't want to mess up your hair. When last
no,
time
that's
you wore a
true.
hat?
I mean,
last time you wore a hat?
Pardon?
When last time you wore a hat?
Oh, I wear hats all. Me, honestly, I wear a hat a lot. Because, like, right now it's kind of going, but you never know. Like, I know when you and I started, you were combing your hair looking all pretty. And this outfit right now, for some reason, I went with the James Bond bad guy look. And I don't think it really goes with the Bengals hat. Sorry about that. So I just needed to know, should I wear it or not? Because if I wear it and they lose, it's going to be clearly my fault and this hat's fault.
Wear the hat, man. Wear the hat. It's your mom sent it to you. I mean, it has meaning, sentimental value.
That's true. It does. Okay, we talked about it last week, but obviously the week leading up to the Super Bowl is nothing but predictions, conversation, and over-analysis by the experts. I think last week, I'm pretty sure you thought the Rams, given their star-studded lineup, would ultimately beat the Bengals. I think it was a 3.5 point spread. The Rams are favored by. Just because I can't pick them, because if I do pick them, my heart's going to get more involved in this than it already is. So I'm going to say the Rams are going to win in a really close game. What says you, young man?
Yeah, number one, if you're a gambler, and I'm not, advising that, but I would pick the over. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think that Jamar Chase is going to put some points up, and Joe Burrow's going to put some points up. But I do think ultimately the Rams defense will prove to be the difference. That defensive line will prove to be the difference late in the game. And I think
you're right. But I'll tell you what, if somehow Joe Burrow can beat the Titans defensive line, the Chiefs defensive line, and Chris Jones.
They're not the Rams, dude.
I know.
They don't have Aaron
Rams, dude. Quoting the great Pac-Man Jones.
They're not the Rams, dude.
No, I think you're on the same page. I think you and I both think the Rams are going to win. Well, this was fun. Wrapping up another week of Cowboys talk here on Cowboys Overtime. For all of your Cowboys needs, make sure to check out Clarence and myself on StarTelegram.com. See you next time here on StarTelegram.com and Cowboys Overtime.